I'm Lorelei Day. Today we are joined with outgoing City Council Representative Larry Miller for District 6.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us, Larry.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Of course. Well, so let's talk about a little bit about your time on City Council. So you joined in 2021?
Correct.
Okay. What made you want to run for City Council?
Well, it's kind of interesting. My entire life has pretty much been one of service. I served in the military for 30 years, and then when I got finished with that, I went into teaching. Really, my family and my in-laws always knew I was going to be a teacher. And my first principal had a funny way of putting it. He said, "Mr. Miller only works this as a hobby." And I probably could have made more money, but I think I felt like I was contributing more to the community as a teacher than to work even out at the base.
Absolutely. So over the time of your 4 years here, what has your time been like? Whether that's things you've accomplished or the dynamic on council, anything that surprised you?
It's interesting. When I first got on council, I didn't know any of these people. I'd never even met most of them. So they were at that time my colleagues. But what developed over a period of time was friendships with all of the people on there. And I think it's been a very cooperative council in conducting business. That doesn't mean that we didn't disagree with each other. I think I've disagreed on point with virtually everybody on council, including the mayor, but that doesn't mean that we still can't be friends and talk things over. In talking things over, we learn things that we didn't anticipate in the past that are very relevant to what we're discussing.
Right. Well, it's been very evident from us watching in the back as the communications department is recording the meetings. We've seen you're clearly well loved. So and you're respectful of others. So it's been great watching you, and we're sad to see you go. But we hope we'll still work with you as
Thank
needed.
you. Well, I think I'll probably still be at the podium occasionally because I can certainly read the agenda, and if I have a difference of opinion about something, I have no problem about going to the podium and saying my piece.
Well, come on, you're invited.
Thank you.
So you touched on this a little bit, but is there anything interesting that you've learned about city services or city council?
Oh, a great deal. When I first got on council, Harry Thomas said, it'll take you 3 years to really learn how this works. And there's a great degree of truth in that there's personalities that I never knew before, and there's still hundreds of them out there I can recognize by face, but attaching a name to it is very, very difficult. The other thing I've learned too is that city employees work extremely hard. We have this myth about people in the city leaning on a shovel. I've never seen that happen. I've seen a group of people who work hard for their money and are willing to bend over backwards to get the business of the city done.
Yes, sir. It goes back to that service heart.
Yes, it does. It goes right back to that. The people in the city, they have a great degree of that concept of serving the community.
So one of the things that you have been very vocal about,
yes.
Passionate about, which is great, is ADA.
Yes.
Talk about that.
It's a long story. Okay, it goes back before you were born. I married into a family that had a disabled person. And by being around them and helping with aspects of their care, you learn an awful lot about that community of people. I'll give you the worst of the worst. 1976, the bicentennial of the United States, my in-laws came to where we were living. It was up by Washington, D.C. So, of course, we're doing the city down there, and we went to the Jefferson Memorial. My brother and I had to carry my sister-in-law and her wheelchair up the Jefferson Memorial because there was no elevators, there was no ramp. Gee, haven't we come a long ways since? I lived during a time when you hid your disabled people and special needs people. And we've done a great job of getting them out in public now, and it's not unusual to see a wheelchair or what. And that's excellent. We still have a long way to go, not just as a city, but as a country. But we're making great strides. You notice this most when you go to another country. My familiarity is a little bit with the United Kingdom. There are 4 tube stops that have an elevator. That's it. And what do those people do over there when there's stairs, there's no escalator even? We solved a lot of those problems. I think we've been charging really hard on getting the city situation better. And thank God for Teresa James. She was the worker bee behind it. I might have surfaced the problem, but she's really been the worker bee on it. And oh my goodness, Mr. Valenzuela surprised me the other day because I mentioned him that the handicapped entrances on City Hall, it's kind of hard to struggle with a door and get yourself in there. Well, he was pleased as punch. He told me, we're going to put an automatic door on both of them. And rather quickly, now they have an automatic door on it. The other thing I like to say about ADA is for everybody. It's not just for people with disabilities. It's for that lady who's pushing a baby carriage, because it's a tough thing to get through a door when you've got, little ones in tow and all that. It's certainly is good for any aspect of mobility issues, whether you're old or you're young, or whether you're pushing a cart with things that you got to get into the building. Those kinds of things are very important. And one of the things that I see happening is in construction even, we're starting to build homes that assist people with disabilities, which at the same time are very good. They called it, what was the name for it? Wasn't building in place, but the idea is if you do those things, then it's comfortable for a person to stay in there. Wider doors, paddle electrical switches on the door, grab bars in the bathroom, all those kinds of things are good for everybody. And as you grow older, they become even more important.
Absolutely. Are there any, I know there are, but can you give us some examples of things that were accomplished ADA-wise in San Angelo or city facilities?
Well, I know that that Teresa James during her time here had a questionnaire that went out. And did you take part in that too?
I did.
Well, that really brought the attention to that for all city employees, and I think it was an educational experience too. Since I've been on council after Teresa and I started working this, I found that the letters ADA are more commonly referenced in the course of things. For instance, when Aaron Vanoy gets up there, he knows if he doesn't say something about it, I will. And that's comforting that they've taken that on as a challenge for whatever they do. People coming into city for services. Well, we have tools now to help people with disabilities to kind of go through the process with very little problem. We still have a long way to go, but I'm pleased with how much we've done so far. We don't have as much power to convince people downtown to change things, and I've seen some interesting ones over the time. But I think if we do it at the city, it'll start rolling over into the community. And the thing I've also found is that it isn't as though people are trying to be mean most people simply have no idea what it's like to be a disabled person working through the world. Mr. Valenzuela said once, he says, you don't know how the world works until you're 3 feet off the ground in a wheelchair. And I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yep. It's definitely a different perspective that we do not all know. Okay, so switching gears just a bit. What are some projects that really just made you excited outside of ADA?
Well, the park's dedication. I know it's not solved yet, but I think it also has interest in the community. We complain about the kids being locked to that little machine all day long, instead of like we did in my day and your day too. You're talking about drinking out of a hose before. That's old timey stuff. We went out and Mom and Dad said, go out there and play. And you ran a neighborhood, and they said, get in when the lights go on. And you hustled your tail end into the house. But nowadays, in some respects, we've destroyed that and impersonalized it by not having parks in the right places. I think we have a lot of parks, but as we've expanded, we haven't been as careful at providing locations where kids could play. In my neighborhood, the closest park is Meadow Creek, and it's about half a mile away. But the kids in the Bluff, it's 2.5 miles to the nearest park. Well, and our parks are getting used. Go out to any park on a Saturday or Sunday, and you'll see moms and dads out there. They're on the monkey bars and the swings and all that, and we're getting good use out of it. So we need to, as we expand as a city, we need to do what we can to keep those kids out there playing around because it's healthy for them.
I agree with you there. As a mom, that it's so important, and it's so important that we have somebody in a position of authority to advocate for that. So
thank you.
Thank you. So leaving council after 4 years of service, what will be your lasting memory? What do you hope it'll be?
That's a tough one. I certainly have formed friendship bonds with a lot of people, and that's you provide. Excuse me. A list was provided us of the projects we've gotten done, and after you read through that, it's really amazing that some of them, they're kind of in the back of your brain, but then when you see the host of things that occurred over that period of time, and every council member has a little piece of involvement in every one of those things, and it really takes your breath away to see what all has been accomplished in the last 4 years. We were all hanging on to the coattails of the mayor on road construction. She is to be applauded for the work that she did to put our roads in better shape. And I think everybody on council feels as though they contributed a tiny bit to the success of that.
Teamwork.
Yes.
Okay, Larry. Well, anything else that you want to touch on? Any closing words? Any final thoughts?
I really enjoyed it. I think there was one question you had down here about why would you suggest that anybody run for office? And I think it's the same thing, that we reach a certain age, and it's not all about us. It's about what we can do for the folks that are coming up. A friend of mine and I, we discuss this occasionally because we're also involved in other activities and charities and so on. And there's a term called self-actualization. And this is, the idea behind this is a lot of people reached out and gave us a hand to do things. And now it's our time in life, because we have the ability to do it, is to reach out to the ones coming up, give them a hand to be as successful and productive as we believe we were.
Thank you for those words. Thank you for your time, for your service to the city. You certainly have been a joy to watch and a joy to get to meet. And I'd like to think we're friends too. So
yes,
keep in touch, and I know we'll see you up at the podium.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
So I'll try to keep them on track. Okay.
I know you will. All right.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. All right. For the City of San Angelo, I am Lorelei Day.